Welcome to People. I'm your host, Micah Mater. Let's get started. Late last year, longtime PBS talk show host Tavis Smiley was taken off the air amid allegations of sexual misconduct. The awarded media veteran maintains he's done nothing wrong, releasing this statement the same day news that his show was being suspended.
It's time for a real conversation in this country about where the lines are, about how men and women can engage each other in the workplace. And I look forward to actively participating in that conversation.
So as promised, he started that conversation, and he is traveling the country, asking Americans what they think about relationships in the workplace. He's with our Courtney Hall in the newsroom. Courtney?
Hey, Micah. I'm here with Tavis Smiley. We all know him, and he is in Chicago touring. He spoke at St. Sabina talking about relationships. Tavis, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Courtney. Thank you.
So tell us about the scope of this conversation that you had at St. Sabina.
Yeah, it's really a conversation about men and women in the workplace and where the lines are. The polling, Courtney, is everywhere about what men think and what women think about what is in fact acceptable office protocol. Beyond what men and women think, there's a generational divide on these issues. And so when I got pulled into this, as it were, with my own personal connection some weeks ago, a couple months ago, I vowed then that I would do my part, as I've always done, to try to convene a democratic space for us to come together to talk about these issues. Because again, the lines are everywhere, and there are companies now trying to figure out where this conversation goes. There's a company now that has said that if you work for us, and a man and a woman, like the two of us, are on a work trip, we can't ride in the same rental car. We can't stay in the same hotel anymore. Not the same hotel room, the same hotel. There are companies now that are saying that you can't hug employees. We may have worked together 25 years.
Right.
We can no longer hug. So people are just trying to figure out where these lines are, and the American people ought to have a voice in that conversation. And that's what this tour is all about.
Now, you were pulled into this personally, your experience at PBS.
Sure.
Can you speak a little bit about that? PBS basically suspended you and pulled your content.
I would love to speak about it, except that I don't know anything more today than I knew 8 weeks ago,
right.
which is to say.
But you had to think that there were going to be some raised eyebrows now that you're going on tour.
But I don't know who the accusers are. I don't know what the allegations are about. I don't know anything, and that's not what this country is all about. The bedrock of this democracy is due process and presumption of innocence, and I've had neither one of those things. So at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, to your point, whether or not we believe in the presumption of innocence or we don't. If you can no longer have a conversation in public because you were accused of something, and we don't know what the information or the details are, you've not been tried before a jury, if we are going to start demonizing people for being accused of stuff, then everybody ought to take a few seats. That's not the way this country works, and I for one, am not going to be silenced. I'm never going to surrender to public shaming and have someone tell me that I can't raise my voice because somebody wrongfully accused me of something. I've been a black man my whole life, and our history lets us know that these are tactics used oftentimes against us to silence us. So when somebody puts something on the table, when there's some evidence on the table that I can respond to, I am happy to stand in my truth. I know what I've done and what I haven't done. But trying to shame me is never a tactic that's going to work.
So given that, what is your take on the whole Me Too movement and the traction it's gotten?
I support the Me Too movement. I support Time's Up. I support all of that. And I've used my platform for years to discuss these issues. I did a conversation almost 10 years ago called Made Visible, a conversation on national television with a panel of nothing but women. This isn't the first time I've had this conversation. And throughout the last few months before I got pulled into it, on my PBS show on a regular basis, we were talking about this issue with women. So I've never shied away from these issues. I'm not going to shy away now. I've never run away from these issues. I'm not going to run away now. When people look at the breadth and depth of my 30-year career, they see who I am. I've written books about the mistakes I've made, the lessons I've learned. I've tried to share that. And so it's ultimately a question of whether or not you're going to believe what you hear or you're going to believe what you've seen coming from me for 30 years. And I'm very confident and comfortable with my reputation that I've tried to build over 30 years of trying to love and serve people as a broadcaster.
Well, it sounds like you have a unique perspective to contribute to this conversation. What is the biggest takeaway you want people to get as you're touring on this subject?
I've always believed, Courtney, that information is power, that knowledge is power, and that in any space where there's conflict, you have to have conversation. That's why you do what you do. That's why I do what I do. We believe in conversation. We believe in putting the facts on the table. And so at the end of the day, I want people to leave these conversations, and quite frankly, even beyond the tour, the country needs to have an ongoing conversation about how men and women relate. You know, that Mars-Venus thing is real. You know, we speak different languages, so how do we better communicate in the workplace? So I hope the takeaway for everyone will be that we have got to do better. that we only have men and we only have women, and we're going to have to learn how to communicate and get along better in
accountability
the
on
workplace.
both sides?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about this new show that you have.
Sure.
Launched on the Word Network?
Yeah, it's called The Upside with Tavis Smiley. It's a new online series. So for the first time in my career, I now have a show that is online that'll be seen on Apple TV and Fire Stick and Roku and Xbox. So we're gonna, with this new show, get a younger audience. For the first time in my life now, I have an international distribution deal. So this show won't just be seen here domestically. It'll be seen in Asia and in Africa and in Europe and around the world. So I have international distribution for the new show. And my catalog of over 3,000 shows on PBS over the years is now being distributed internationally as well. I have a new book coming out. So the point is that 3 weeks after this announcement was made, we announced a bevy of new deals on multiple platforms. What again, that shows is over 30 years of building a career. There were a handful of companies, 4 or 5 to be exact, who called me almost immediately saying, "We'd love to work with you." I haven't put a call out to anyone looking for work.
So you had other doors open.
Automatically.
And isn't it amazing we live in a time where online content is not seen as lower than
it's more,
the
it's,
TV?
in many ways it's more valuable. And in my case, I have 2 opportunities. I have the online series, and as you mentioned, the Word Network will also broadcast it on cable. So I've got the best of both worlds.
So The Upside with Tavis Smiley, what's going to be the scope of that show?
It's a show about resilience, a show about overcoming. I've had a chance over the course of my career to talk to pretty much everybody from all walks of life. And there's so many people who have something to share with us about the power of overcoming, about resilience, athletes, entertainers, politicians, entrepreneurs, everyday people that we don't even know. But everybody has a story of what it means to be resilient, what it means to overcome. So we need some more positive programming in our world right about now. So having a chance to talk to people every day who are resilient in their work and in their witness is something that I'm excited about, and I think the public is going to appreciate the new show.
All right, Tavis Smiley,
Thank
we
you,
will be
Courtney.
watching and listening. Thank you for
much.
being here.
My pleasure.
Micah, back to you.
Thanks, Courtney. For programming details of Tavis Smiley's new show, you can visit tavistalks.com.